Um, Welcome back, and a very specific welcome to you, the learner, as you join us for today's deep dive.
Yeah, it is really great to be jumping into this one today.
It is because we are we're tackling a pretty massive shift in how the digital world actually operates.
A structural shift, really.
Exactly. So today's deep dive is exploring the rapid evolution of digital marketing. We're talking about moving far, far beyond the days of simple online brochures and stepping into what the industry is now calling Web 5.0.
Right, which is a heavy term, but we'll break it down.
We will. And to guide us through the actual mechanics of this shift, our sources for today are drawn directly from the service catalog, the technical insights, and the digital portfolio of mfmd.pt.
Right, which, just for context, that is the professional platform of Miguel Ferreira.
A Portuguese digital marketing engineer and full-stack web developer.
And our mission for this deep dive is highly practical. We are going to extract a blueprint for modern digital survival.
Survival being the key word there.
Definitely. Because we're going to explore how combining advanced data engineering, generative AI, and incredibly tight technical infrastructure creates a modern digital sales engine.
Not just a website, an engine.
Exactly. What we are analyzing today goes far beyond traditional marketing. You know, the kind that often relies on simply generating noise or just looking pretty.
Right, the aesthetic appeal.
Yeah. It is about building an ecosystem that thrives on precision, data structuring, and machine-level communication.
Okay, let's unpack this, because right out of the gate, the sources make a really compelling claim.
A bold one.
Very bold. They state that conventional digital marketing, the kind based solely on making a lot of noise and just having a visually appealing website, is completely obsolete.
Dead in the water.
Right. We are supposedly now in the era of Web 5.0. So what is that?
Well, Web 5.0, as detailed in our source material, is defined by a very specific symbiosis.
Okay.
It is described as the merging of decentralized computational power and human emotion.
That sounds like a sci-fi concept. Decentralized compute and emotion.
It does, but let's break that down. Decentralized computational power refers to an architecture where data processing and AI capabilities aren't just sitting on one massive central server somewhere.
Like a giant warehouse of computers.
Right. Instead, they are integrated directly into the edges of the web. They're running efficiently right where the user actually interacts with them.
Which changes the speed entirely.
Exactly. And when you combine that instantaneous processing power with personalized, human-centric design, the goal is no longer just having a website that sits there passively.
Just waiting to be clicked.
Right. The goal is to create an intelligent, active agent.
An active agent.
Yeah.
So the website shouldn't just be a static digital flyer waiting to be read.
Not anymore.
And this brings us to a crucial concept mentioned in the technical notes: entity architecture and schema markup.
This is where it gets really technical, but it's so important.
It is. The core idea here is that modern search engines, so think of Google's Search Generative Experience or ChatGPT, when it browses the web to answer a prompt.
Right.
They don't just read text strings anymore. They don't just look for matching keywords on a page like they did 10 years ago.
No, they actually think in concepts.
Exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this represents a fundamental shift in how business is done online. It is the critical why behind all this engineering.
Why we have to build it this way.
Right. Schema markup is essentially a vocabulary of code. It translates human language into machine-readable concepts.
So it's a translator.
Exactly. It tells the search engine, hey, this isn't just a string of letters. This is a product. Here is its price, here is its inventory status, and here is how it relates to this other accessory.
It gives it context.
Yes. Your business code must be strictly organized using this architecture so that AI machines can understand it first.
It's like trying to get a job, but the recruiter only speaks a specific coding language, and your resume is just a crayon drawing.
That's a great analogy.
It doesn't matter how qualified you aren't getting past the door because the recruiter literally cannot process your application.
They can't even see you.
Right. So I want you, the learner listening right now, to think about your own company's digital presence. Is it just a digital flyer? Or is it actually built engineered at the code level to talk to these AI gatekeepers?
Because if the machines do not understand the underlying entities of your business, they simply will not serve your products up to human consumers.
You just won't exist to them.
Exactly. That structural foundation is the prerequisite for everything else.
Step one.
Right. Once you have that entity architecture right, your platform becomes machine readable. And that is when you can start layering on the truly transformative applications of this intelligence.
Moving from just being found by AI to actually employing AI.
Yes, using it to run your customer interactions.
Which transitions us perfectly into the practical application of this intelligence. Generative AI chatbots.
A huge topic right now.
Massive. The sources place a huge emphasis on this. They specifically note how businesses can multiply their sales team's output without increasing their payroll.
And we all remember the frustrating rule-based bots from a few years ago.
Oh, the absolute worst.
The ones where you had to type exactly the right keyword.
Or would just endlessly loop back to a main menu. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Yes, they were rigid decision trees. But modern generative AI chatbots are fundamentally different.
Completely different tech.
These new assistants are trained exhaustively on a business's exclusive proprietary knowledge base.
So we're talking about feeding the AI your internal PDFs, your specific FAQs,
Your unique product manuals.
and your company policies.
And because they use that specific ring-fenced data, they operate as a closed-loop system.
Meaning they don't hallucinate random stuff from the internet.
Right. This natural language processing allows them to dynamically resolve complex technical doubts rather than just spitting out generic links.
They actually answer the question.
They interpret customer intent in real time, and they can route qualified leads straight into a CRM system.
And for those unfamiliar, a CRM, or customer relationship management system, is essentially the central digital brain for a company's sales and customer data. Exactly. These AI agents feed data directly into that brain, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Never sleeping.
and speaking in the exact voice and tone of your brand.
The specifics of how this is structured on mfmd.pt are really notable, particularly the fractional model they utilize.
Yes, the fractional approach is smart.
The sources explicitly mention how this avoids the abusive monthly fees that usually come with enterprise-level tech stacks.
Because software as a service can bleed a small business dry.
Absolutely. You essentially pay for the bot license and the specialized engineering time to integrate it, and they compare two specific tiers that help illustrate the scale of this tech.
Right, let's look at those.
First, there's the PRO plan. This uses the GPT-4o mini model, retains 13 days of conversation history for context, and holds a 500 kilobyte knowledge base.
Which is usually sufficient for basic text FAQs.
Right. But the master plan is where the engineering really scales up.
The master plan utilizes more advanced reasoning models. It extends the context retention to 30 days, and it features daily data synchronization.
Daily sync, meaning the bot is always learning from the freshest company data without manual updates.
Exactly. But the real differentiator is the massive 50 megabyte knowledge base.
And just to put 50 megabytes of plain text into perspective for you, that is roughly the equivalent of giving the chatbot 10,000 to 15,000 pages of your company's deepest, most complex technical manuals.
And having it memorize them perfectly.
Right. It allows for deep logical processing and custom data capture.
It does. And that depth allows the bot to trigger specific actions, like zap buttons based on complex customer interactions.
Moving data across different platforms automatically.
Yes. However, the engineering behind getting this onto the website is just as critical as the bot's intelligence itself.
The integration part.
Right. The sources describe this as a turnkey service, injecting OpenAI natively into the web architecture via Zapier Central.
So we have these incredibly smart AI agents handling external sales queries. But there is a catch with integrating third-party tools.
There always is.
Right. If your website is built on clunky architecture, adding heavy AI widgets is going to cause problems. How do they handle the integration without bogging down the site?
The crucial engineering detail here is that the integration is done natively and securely. This ensures that the website's page speed isn't compromised by heavy external scripts pulling data every single second.
So you get all the reasoning power of the AI without sacrificing the millisecond loading times.
Exactly, which keeps both human users and search engine crawlers satisfied.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because generative AI isn't just for chatting with your external customers.
None at all.
The sources outline how it is being deployed for internal operations, too.
This represents a major efficiency play for businesses. The materials detail a document consultation app.
Okay.
For a stated investment of €850, a business can develop an internal application that allows its own team to literally chat with their company's internal databases and protocols.
Just think about the daily friction in a normal office. Instead of a new employee or even a veteran digging through physical filing cabinets or using GRLF on a massive PDF manual to find a specific compliance protocol.
Which takes forever.
Right. They just ask the app a question in plain English.
And they get the exact technical specification they need in seconds.
When you weigh an €850 investment against the cumulative hours of payroll spent just searching for information,
The return on investment becomes very clear. Very fast.
it really does.
What's fascinating here is how this ties directly into a broader concept mentioned in the catalog, predictive analytics.
How does that work internally?
By using AI application programming interfaces, APIs, to process all this raw internal and external data, businesses can extract market trends and identify the most common friction points.
Oh, I see. So if the AI notices that employees are constantly asking the internal app the same procedural question,
Management instantly knows where their training is failing.
that is brilliant.
Right. The ultimate goal of this internal AI isn't to replace human workers. It is to remove the repetitive data retrieval tasks so human employees can focus on high-value strategy.
It's treating AI as a highly competent research assistant.
Exactly.
But, as we touched on a moment ago, to run all this AI and to process this data smoothly, you need a rock-solid foundation.
Yeah.
Let's pivot to the technical requirements, the hidden engineering of Web 5.0.
The stuff happening under the hood.
Right. I want to highlight a direct quote from the source material. Latency is the enemy of conversion. Milliseconds literally cost clients.
That is a fundamental law of modern web development. You can have the smartest generative AI chatbot and the best product catalog in the world, but if the site takes 3 seconds to load,
The user will bounce. They'll abandon the page.
instantly. The engineering standards outlined by Miguel Ferreira are uncompromising here. They are aiming consistently for performance scores of 90 or above on Google Lighthouse.
And for context, Lighthouse is Google's own auditing tool for web performance, accessibility, and SEO.
Right. Hitting a 90-plus score requires a meticulously clean code base.
I'm looking at this Lighthouse score requirement of 90 or above, and that seems incredibly strict for a standard content-heavy business website. What is usually the main bottleneck keeping companies from hitting that score?
By far, the biggest culprits are unoptimized, heavy, raw images.
Just massive photo files.
A single multi-megabyte image can destroy your load times, especially on mobile networks.
Which is how everyone browses anyway.
Right. That is why the sources highlight a specific utility, the Online Image Converter PRO tool.
Okay.
It allows for the bulk conversion of standard image formats like JPEG or PNG into the ultra-compact next-generation WebP format.
And WebP is the format that Google explicitly recommends for modern web architecture, right?
Yes. It drastically reduces file size while preserving the graphic density and visual quality. But this raises an important question about operational overhead.
Okay, what do you mean?
There is a secondary, deeply financial benefit to this optimization that the expert insight points out. By moving to WebP, businesses aren't just speeding up their site. They are heavily saving on third-party server infrastructure costs.
You mean the recurring costs of hosting the site on platforms like AWS or standard cPanel environments?
Precisely. The source notes that optimizing these files can reduce storage payloads by nearly 60%.
60%. That is massive.
When you scale that reduction across an entire e-commerce catalog featuring thousands of high-resolution product photos, the monthly savings on server space and bandwidth are substantial.
So it's a dual benefit. Lower operational costs and faster load speeds.
Exactly.
But technical performance isn't just about servers and image compression. There is a specific statistic hidden in the notes about how we consume media today.
This one is wild.
Over 80% of video content on social media is watched on mute.
It is a staggering number, and it completely alters how a business must deliver its content.
It has to.
If 80% of your audience cannot hear your message, relying solely on traditional audiovisual marketing is a failing strategy.
You're just talking to a wall.
Exactly.
Right.
This is why the sources stress that multimedia subtitling and audio transcription are vital structural services. They are not just optional add-ons anymore.
If the video doesn't have subtitles immediately catching the eye, the message is lost in the first 3 seconds of scrolling.
Subtitling keeps the human user engaged in a silent scrolling environment. Furthermore, it ensures WEG compliance.
The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines.
Right. Making a site inclusive for the hearing impaired is both an ethical imperative and an increasingly strict legal standard across many jurisdictions.
Definitely.
But beyond the human element, there is a hidden, highly technical SEO benefit here.
Right, because search engine bots cannot watch a video. They can't listen to an audio file.
Exactly. They are blind to raw multimedia. But if you provide a highly accurate, human-reviewed audio transcription alongside that video,
Suddenly the bots can read it.
they can index all that spoken content. It turns an opaque video file into rich text data, packed with natural keywords and context, which directly boosts organic search rankings.
So what does this all mean? We've explored the theory of Web 5.0, the mechanics of AI chatbots, WebP image compression, and accessibility protocols. Does this highly technical, data-driven approach actually work out there in the real world?
That's the real test, isn't it?
Let's look at the actual portfolio data to see if this methodology holds up in practice.
The portfolio section of mfmd.pt provides some very concrete data points. A foundational element of their success relies on how they approach digital advertising.
Okay.
The sources detail the use of custom Python scripts to automate data collection, rather than just throwing a massive budget at Google Ads and hoping for the best.
Which so many people do.
They do. But instead, they use these scripts to micro-target advertising with surgical precision. They measure exactly how users interact with the site before committing heavy funds.
They mentioned recommending a starting test budget of just €1 a day for Google Ads. I have to ask, doesn't a €1 a day ad budget take forever to generate meaningful, statistically significant data?
It does sound counterintuitive.
It sounds almost too small to be effective.
It sounds too small, but it is a highly scientific approach designed to train the algorithms without wasting capital. At €1 a day, you aren't trying to immediately drive massive sales volume.
Okay, then what are you buying?
You are buying highly specific data points, you are mapping the click paths, testing the automated Python scripts, and verifying user intent.
Checking to see if the engine actually works.
Right. Once the conversion paths are proven to be frictionless, meaning the data shows users are clicking and seamlessly navigating the Web 5.0 architecture without bouncing.
Then you turn the dial up.
Then, and only then, do you scale the budget.
It's treating advertising as a data-gathering exercise first and a sales driver second. The metrics from Miguel Ferreira's portfolio really illustrate the results of this patience. Let's look at a few. First, there's ADA CCI, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Aveiro District.
Right.
Through pure technical SEO restructuring, they achieved a notable 502% increase in file downloads.
That demonstrates the power of fixing the underlying entity architecture and code structure before paying a single cent for advertising.
It proves the theory.
When the search engines understand the site natively, the organic reach just multiplies.
Then we have the MAQSR project. The notes indicate this wasn't just building a standard e-commerce front. It was a complex ERP to web integration.
That is a massive undertaking.
And for those who might not be familiar, an ERP or enterprise resource planning system is essentially the central brain of a company's internal operations. It manages inventory, supply chain, pricing, finance, all of it.
Right. They connected that internal, heavy corporate brain directly to the public-facing online store.
The result was over 9,000 products brought online, dynamically managing 70 different brands and generating over 15 million digital impressions.
Achieving that level of massive scalability is only possible through sound technical architecture.
You can't fake that.
No. If you try to sync an ERP managing 9,000 products to a poorly coded website, the database queries will simply crash the server, or the latency will drive customers away.
And finally, the INOV.am project. This was a massive mobilizing project for additive manufacturing under the Portuguese PRR, which is the National Recovery and Resilience Plan.
A huge government-backed initiative.
Yes. This project consistently hit those 90-plus Google Lighthouse scores we analyzed earlier, and it involved mapping a complex database of 1,708 exhibiting companies from the IMTS 2024 fair.
When you analyze these case studies across entirely different sectors, a regional chamber of commerce, a heavy machinery e-commerce retailer, and an international innovation consortium,
Very different worlds.
the common thread is the complete abandonment of guesswork. These performance metrics do not come from a catchy marketing slogan. They are the direct result of relying entirely on real behavioral patterns, optimizing server infrastructure, and building a flawless Web 5.0 architecture.
It's been a truly fascinating journey through these technical sources. For you listening, the learner, the key takeaway is clear. Digital marketing has evolved fundamentally.
It's a new era.
In fact, calling it marketing almost feels inadequate at this point. It has evolved into digital engineering.
I fully agree.
It is no longer just about graphic design and clever copywriting. To survive and thrive, A modern business requires integrating large language models, obsessing over millisecond server optimization, and structuring data perfectly for the machines.
That is the reality of the current landscape. Investing in this hidden infrastructure, conducting strict SEO audits, implementing WebP image conversions, engineering native generative AI integration, it is no longer a luxury reserved for massive tech corporations.
Not anymore.
It is the foundational requirement to ensure sustainable growth in a digital ecosystem that is completely governed by algorithms.
And we want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to mull over as you go about your day. We've established today that AI agents like ChatGPT and other generative search engines are increasingly browsing the web on behalf of users.
Right, they are doing the light work.
They go out, find the answers, read the reviews, compare the structured data, and summarize the best products for the human user. So what will happen to businesses whose websites are only designed to be read by human eyes?
It's a great question.
Are you preparing your digital presence for the human consumer of today, or for the AI assistant that will soon be doing the shopping for them tomorrow? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.